After 43 years, Chief Meteorologist Tim Deegan is officially retiring, but not before making his famous guacamole at least one more time for his First Coast News family. A self-proclaimed surfer boy, how he's rolled with the waves over the years. Life as Jacksonville's first gentleman married to the mayor, and a side of Tim you've likely never seen before. Well, welcome in. Look who's here. That guy,
Tim
Deegan.
Oh, me.
Tim, you're not leaving us. You're not leaving us yet. Not yet.
I hardly ever get to see you like this. Normally it's just on TV.
Please stop it. You know, I'm curious to know what's going to happen on May 31st.
Well, the next day is hurricane season. And on that day, at least as the family knows, my theme becomes no sock, no tie. No socks, no tie.
None of that.
None of that.
Especially because you'll be leaving us.
Yes, that'll be it. I won't be leaving you.
Okay.
I just will no longer be officially an employee.
Tim's last day officially with First Coast News will be May 30th of this year. It's tough. I couldn't believe it when I finally heard it that you were actually retiring. I knew it would happen. I just didn't believe it would be so, I can't say soon. It's been, what, 43 years?
Yeah, so this is actually my 44th spring because I started on January 20th of 1982. Oh my gosh. You weren't even born yet.
I was actually born at 82.
You were born.
We're not going to go there. We're not going to talk about any of that. Tim, wait, first of all, what are we cooking today?
So, so the term cooking is used loosely around me because I am
preparing. What are we preparing?
Yes, I am no chef and certainly no cook. So this is guacamole.
All right, so tell us about where you got this recipe from.
Okay, so this is from Bill McDonald, and anybody who knows him might say, what are you talking about, a recipe? Because at least back in the early to mid 80s, he was the music critic for the Times-Union.
Okay.
But then occasionally he would share ingredients of stuff.
Okay.
And I am not outside of omelets, I'm not much of a cook, but I love guacamole. And he put out
guacamole. Tim, would you stop? Guacamole. Guac.
It's my South Texas.
Okay,
I'll leave it alone. Even my brothers make fun of me. Sorry.
Tim, let's get to chopping as we chit chat.
Okay, so cilantro right
You're telling me to chop the ends of this,
just
which
the
is
ends.
Interesting.
But then I don't like to put in the leaves.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe
got
it's because it doesn't look good, like in your teeth.
Okay.
It's not a taste thing. And I'm working on the garlic now. I probably use more garlic than some people like.
Okay.
But as you know, my wife is Lebanese, and I've learned from the Lebanese that there's no such thing as too much garlic. And so, this is guacamole with a lot of garlic in it.
Now, Tim, I do want to ask you this because you said 1982, you've been doing this obviously 43 plus years. A lot of people in this business, by the way, I'm going to give you guys some insight. We tend to market hop. We go from different markets in order to move up. You've been here your entire career with First Coast News. Any regrets behind that?
No regrets.
Okay.
Certainly I wonder, because I did have some nice offers. What if I did go to so-and-so market? But you have to remember that, as you know, I love the ocean.
Right.
So I had a choice of where I wanted to come, fortunately for me. What was, just to give a backdrop, what was happening as I graduated from Texas A&M, number one, there was a freeze put on hiring at the National Weather Service. You probably can't believe this, but back in 1980, the Republicans and Democrats could not agree on a budget. Imagine that. And so they put a freeze on hiring.
Okay.
That's actually where I thought I was going to go, forecasting for the National Weather Service.
Okay.
So as it turns out, that was right about as much as, and where would you be without morning news? But that was a new concept back then, right?
I remember. So we did a story on that. It was back in the day with GMJ. And so Good Morning Jacksonville was the first morning show in Jacksonville.
Yeah, not just our station, but Jacksonville. And so that's why I got a job.
Yeah, which was so cool.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is all across the country, suddenly there was about a 30% increase in TV employment because now there were morning shows.
Right.
And so I first started at Bryan College Station. And the only reason I got a job there, which is the home of the fighting Texas Aggies, the best university in the country.
According to you,
Yeah. Because no one else tried out for the job. And the only reason, and seriously, no one else tried out for the job.
Process of elimination, just you got it.
And so I knew nothing about television. And so I just did what I'd seen on TV all those years. Now, fortunately for me back then is when you would draw.
You know what was so interesting? You mentioned that. We actually have video of it, the weather technology and how it's changed over the years.
Oh.
What was that? I mean, how has that been for you trying to navigate all of these changes?
It's you know, first of all, as you know, with a lot of technology and television, it's just, you do it because you have to, right? It's part of the job.
You figure it out, yeah.
But looking back on it, it's been amazing, both how we present the weather, but then also, remember, my love is, wow, that's better than I've ever done. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, thank you. Why don't you do that? Why don't you do it with the garlic?
Okay.
Since we don't
this
have
is not gonna make me cry, is it? Okay,
since we don't have a garlic,
onions,
no, the onions
We're not
will.
that fancy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the onions will. But then also remember, my main love is forecasting.
Right.
And when I first started, there was only one forecast model called the NGM.
Okay.
And compared to today, it was terrible. Mm-hmm. But we would use it. Now there's probably 20 computer models. So I could go on and on about forecasting, but really for me, one of the biggest changes beyond just presentation is the computer models that we have.
I think it's amazing how you can keep up with all of that. I mean, I've only been doing this for, 21 years now, and the things that I've seen, the changes have really been a lot. But I asked you, what is the one thing that you'll miss the most about this business? And you mentioned the people.
Absolutely.
We do want to know the hours that we work in this business.
Yep.
It's tough, right? We work some really odd hours. So you get to know people on an intimate level. We start to feel like family. And I remember talking to you about this a few years ago. Back in 1986, something really tragic happened to our First Coast News family. Do you remember that helicopter crash? It happened live on air.
Of course I would. I was on the air with Joan Lovett.
Yeah.
And the helicopter literally went down on the air. And
Yeah.
we found out that, in fact, one of our reporters, and she was brand new, passed.
She was so young. I think she was like 26 years old.
Yes.
Julie Ann Silver is just 26, and the pilot, William Buddy Smith, just 34. They both lost their lives in this accident. Again, back in 1986, this plane crash, the helicopter did, in the Riverside area while they were giving a traffic report. I could only imagine what it was like for you guys here.
I remember looking at Joan's eyes. And although we couldn't say anything on the air, and we didn't know for sure
what happened,
but basically, you pretty much knew that probably something pretty tragic had happened.
Yeah.
And then the station flew us down for the funeral, and it was so tough because she hadn't been with us for more than a month.
Wow.
So we really didn't know her that well.
Gosh.
And here she had basically died, you know,
while doing her job. She just started.
That was a. Because obviously I was still a young man. That was a humble eye-opener to, you know, you just don't know.
This business, you never know.
You don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. You know what, on a lighter note though, it's so interesting your path to doing this, to getting into broadcasting. You still hold on to the best memorabilia. He has this at his desk, folks. We actually brought this in with us. This is something that little Timmy created back in 1966. Hopefully we can get a close-up of this. Tim, explain what this is exactly.
So I was 6.
Whoa!
I was 6, and by that point, I'd become a pretty in-depth meteorologist, and I'm laughing at myself. But
at 6 years old.
But it's not that my parents were. My mom was a nurse. My dad was basically a comptroller.
Yeah.
We think it came from the fact that I was a pretty severe asthmatic. Mm-hmm. Spent a lot of time staring out the windows when I was like at 4 and 5. Would draw clouds. Some teacher, some mentor somewhere gave me a weather book. By this age, I was whenever I was sick, I was inside making forecasts on the 30. Now, but unbeknownst to me, my dad, I was the oldest. He thought it was kind of odd that his son was doing this. He took it in. Now, luckily, he showed it to one of his secretaries, and she realized how special it was, or odd, depending on your outlook. And so, unbeknownst to me, my parents saved it. I had no idea.
But Tim, you know what? I want to talk briefly about your wife, because every time I talk to you, Donna's name always comes up some way, somehow. And I actually have a clip of her when she was asked what you mean to her. We're going to see if we can pull that up for you, because I want you to hear this. You probably heard it before, but you're pretty
never enough. If it's positive, not enough.
You are her rock. Do you realize that?
Well, she is not only my rock, but she is the rock of
So many.
She is the light on the rock that I want to look toward.
Wow.
I mean, you can imagine, first of all, there's no whining in our house. You know, someone who's been, anybody, not just her, but anybody who's been through cancer, let alone 3 times, you know, there's no whining.
Yeah.
But I know many of us have heard her share, but I'll just get to the headline, and that is that by her 3rd time, she felt like she was doing all she could, and so she added a doctor, and this particular doctor said, look, I know you're doing all you can, but I don't think you're handling stress, and you realize how much the stress in your life, not saying it's causing it,
right,
but it might be adding to the fact that you can't handle
as healthy as you should be. Yeah.
So anyhow, bottom line is, this counselor said to her, what do you fear most? And she said, well, dying. Yeah. And this counselor said, okay, we all do. You know, what are you going to do about it? And I suspect we all face that at some point in life.
Yeah.
She just faced that as a younger woman, and anyhow, that's when she went, okay. And it doesn't mean that she denies death, but I think it was, here's what I get out of it, is that, and it's almost a cliche, but she really took it to heart. It was that, like, we're all going to die.
Yeah.
All we have is right now. And she's a reminder to me of that all the time.
Living right here, right now.
All
Take
the
a
time.
listen. Let's listen to this clip from Donna.
Listen, let me just say this about Tim, in all seriousness, and you know, take it for what it's worth. But none of this would have ever been possible without him. He has been my steady rock, my encourager in chief, and the person who reminds me every single day to take that time to not only be grateful but to breathe.
Wow.
Well, that's really nice to hear.
Are you blushing a little bit? What's going on over there, Tim? He's
So-
turning red.
So no, we definitely try to reinforce. We know that both of us intellectually really believe what she just said.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you do this the same with your husband and with your friends. But I do think we're there to remind each other that, you know, take it to your heart.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess what I'm hearing is maybe we try to do that for each other.
I think she likes you a little bit, just a little bit. Tim, you know what? You and I spoke about this, words of wisdom. So behind the scenes, I'm always turning to him. Tim used to be Ken a lot because this business can be really tough. But something that is difficult in this business and beyond is dealing with all of the noise. People are so negative, so ugly sometimes. You know, you tend to build like gator skin.
Yeah.
For you,
I don't think people at home realize that.
Yeah.
I think people at home, and not that we're trying to get points, but I think people at home who maybe do like us or watch us assume that everybody gives us accolades.
Oh, no.
And that is not what we hear, right? Whether how we say things or how could we possibly think that or what's our hair like?
Yeah.
You know, so you're right. In this business, you do have to learn to just get on with it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt us, right?
Right.
I mean, we feel it. So yeah, there's no doubt. It's in this business. It's interesting you brought up Ken Amaro, because his children, pretty much the same age as my children.
Yeah, you guys grew up together too.
We went through a lot of very similar things.
Yeah.
And then you know, my life here hasn't just been weather forecasting. There's been a lot of beautiful stuff, but certainly, as with Donna, there's been some major health crises. I put myself into my own crisis of my own doing.
Yeah.
And Ken Amaro was there through all that stuff. I don't know if you know this, but after some of the heaviest time, at one point he said, you know, we don't have to solve life's problems every time we get together. We play chess. Now, I'm using the term play loosely.
Yeah.
Because he would destroy me. but it was that time of getting together.
Yeah.
You know, and he would give me some reinforcement. As you know, he knows the Bible backwards and forward. But more significantly to me, Ken Amaro, he brings the the Love Alive just, yeah, you know, sometimes you could just hear his laugh.
Yeah.
And you'd say, okay. In fact, that's another thing about Donna. And
Ken's laugh is really good.
And she laughs different than Donna, than Ken. But Donna's, Donna, one of the things that attracted me to her initially is that she has this authentic, deep laugh. And when she was going through her heaviest stuff, and we were working to doing the 11 together, I couldn't see her. She'd be in the newsroom. I'd be trying to figure out the weather. And there'd be nights where literally she would have a bowl next to her chair because she was taking chemo. Wow. But she didn't want to get, and so I thought I knew where her head was, which was in a bad place. And she'd be with Alan Janae or Shannon or somebody, and I'd hear that authentic laugh, and I go, okay, she's okay.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
You know, we mentioned some of the darker times or difficult times. I'm going to just be transparent with you. There was a moment in our newsroom that really made me emotional. You likely remember this. We were all gathered together, and our general manager at that time, Rob Minnie, he said, Tim has something he wants to say to all of you. And it was regarding your DUI, and it was hard to even look at you, Tim, because I was just like, this is not really happening. Do you remember that?
Of course I remember that, because by then I was beginning to actually be grateful for the event, which may not make any sense to people, but I was getting past to the shoulda, woulda, coulda. That wasn't the first time I'd ever had a drink, and was really learning about gratitude, seriously, for where I had been, for people. I ended up writing letters to the police officers, but I wanted to make sure, because people in the station knew, but I didn't have a chance to eyeball everybody, and I felt like I was heading in a better direction, and I wanted to both make sure everybody in our building, in our family, for those of us who feel that way, knew where I was right then, but also that I was grateful for everything that every person had done. And some people were heroic like the movies. Some people just plain let me do what I do, even though they had many, for lack of better words, critical thoughts about me, which I totally get. But people basically, even if they weren't there constantly hugging me, people let me try to work through it.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, yes. I think for sure I had wet eyes, if not more, right?
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah.
We all did.
But you know, that was a freeing moment as well, because, and my friends even tell me this, that I think one of the dangerous things about, like you said, that crocodile skin that we have, that it can almost become us. I mean, I can remember for many years being with friends, nowhere near a camera, and people would say, Tim, relax. And it would become, you're just being TV Tim. And I don't know about you, but I think occasionally I would be so locked into that sort of protective, I'm going to be smiley, just on the surface, to where that sort of became me, you know?
That TV Tim.
Yeah, and I think at least I learned I have to be careful about that.
Yeah. Some of us felt let down. I've told you that before. You're in a wonderful place now. Did you feel let down yourself? You let yourself down?
Oh, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it didn't take me more than a couple hours in the back of that police car to finally come to the thing of, I had felt bad about my lifestyle for years. I was in a very dark place. I fooled myself into thinking that it wasn't impacting other people's lives that I was significant to. So the heaviest thing was how much I had let down everybody, which is why it was so beautiful. And then finally I could appreciate when people reached out to me in all their own ways. Yeah. I mean, some people the next day, some people 15 years later, but I get it, you know?
Yeah. I have to ask you about this because obviously there's folks going through similar struggles, similar circumstances. What do you say to them about how to make it through such a dark and difficult time?
Well, first of all, I am there for anybody.
Okay.
In fact, which is not to say I'm the world's best mentor at all.
But you do have some words of wisdom. I'll tell you guys that. He does.
But
he
I
does.
do get together with men occasionally and have some cups of coffee. And I think the main thing is my own experience was that as much as I was brought up in what I consider to be an authentic religious belief, I made myself my own highest power. Therefore, as things got darker and I wasn't solving my own problem, I was becoming more and more alone and in a darker and darker hole. And although not necessarily everybody goes there, I think for a lot of people, they forget that they're not the highest power. And so I would say for anybody, you got to be honest with yourself, but then talk to somebody about it. Talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I remember when I first got involved in a group and had been there for a month or 2 months, and I was 53. And they said, Tim, in many ways, you're like 2 months old, or at least 5 years old, or 15 years old. There's all kind of ways we put it. So even now, as a 65-year-old, I still feel like I'm still immature in some levels of talking to people because I increasingly, for decades, would numb myself out.
Wow.
And what I've learned, at least for the people that I learn from, is that in many ways, when you numb yourself out, you're shutting off any ability to learn from others, yourself, the whole bit.
Yeah.
You know?
And Tim, where are you now? Let's go ahead and put all this together.
I have on my surfboard. Oh, we didn't do the jalapenos.
Uh-oh.
We
Got to
see
do
the
that.
jalapenos.
Okay.
I have on my surfboard in little peace sign, but with small and cursive, and I have now for 12 years. It says happy, joyous, and free.
That's where you are.
That's right.
I love that.
That's right.
Happy, joyous, and free.
And then every morning, there's different things I say, but at the end of what I say, on my knees, I will say, dear God, please help me stay curious. That
Always
helps.
learning.
Always learning. I don't know exactly how things are going to go. Keeps me in a true humility, you know. I mean, I've learned from you over the last 30 minutes. Seriously, really.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, if anytime we're being honest in relationships, we're learning, right?
Yeah. Should be.
Yeah, should be.
Definitely so.
Okay.
All right, Tim, let's go ahead and put us all together.
Okay.
It's time now for our rapid fire round. We have some quick questions for you. I need quick answers.
All
Okay,
right.
Tim, don't lollygag.
Okay.
Favorite hair length. This is easy. Length. Is this it?
No,
or longer?
Longer. That's easy. Longer.
By the way, this is your last haircut. It happened
I did
today.
it just for you.
I
Just got my
appreciate it.
last haircut. Now, no, I'm going to cut my hair again.
Okay,
But, this is
but
the
not
last,
since you're on air.
This
We're
is
done.
the last time I've got my hair cut because, well, think about it. For the last 65 years, someone else has been telling me when to cut my hair. First my parents, then my boss. So after this point, it'll be me. With, of course, some advice from the mayor.
From Donna.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Okay, next one. Favorite rapper. I'm curious to know this one. Favorite rapper.
Well, does Public Enemy count as rappers?
We got Danae said, yeah. Okay, so that counts. Okay.
So yeah, and I'm talking about Public Enemy from 1980.
Late 80s, yeah. 90,
well,
okay.
maybe when you people started hearing them. See, anybody who gets popular, I start having a hard time with.
Okay.
That's why,
okay.
and Donna has a whole critique of that.
Okay.
But I'm talking about Public Enemy before, before all
The commercial.
before all the white people started.
Oh, Tim, come on. All right, how about favorite album of all time?
Oh gosh, that's so hard.
Really?
Yes, because
Nothing
it
comes to mind. Okay.
No, I didn't say nothing.
Okay. I'm
I just
listening.
said it's hard. Can I
Okay.
give you 5?
No, 1. This is rapid round. Come on.
Oh
It's taking too
my
long. Go ahead.
goodness, I'm gonna have to go with U2 Joshua Tree.
Okay. Danae, you approve? Yes? He said, okay. He's like, who's that? Okay. Ooh. All right, you're going to start a fight here.
Ooh.
Jordan or LeBron?
Sorry, it's an age thing. So it's
He's going
not.
for Jordan.
It is not.
Okay.
Yes, it's nothing against LeBron.
Okay.
It is nothing against LeBron. Now, can I tell a real quick what I think is funny basketball story?
Please do.
Because my dad was a basketball player, and so we always had a goal. But I was pretty much a short Irish guy for a long time.
That's changed, okay.
No vertical. I'm talking about in 5th grade, I was one of the shortest boys in the class.
Aw, okay.
Eventually, at least, it grew a little bit. Anyhow, but back in my day, it wasn't Michael Jordan. It certainly wasn't LeBron. See, I can't talk into this at the same time.
Okay.
It was what we knew originally as Lou Alcindor, who then became Kareem.
Oh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
So picture this hilarious story.
Okay.
I would think my dad would be proud of me because I was in the backyard practicing. Here's the problem. He would come home and this 4-foot 10-inch Irish kid would be practicing my left and right-handed hook. Think about that. Anybody who knows basketball, that's ridiculous.
Okay, I don't
Why
know.
would a short guy be learning a hook anyhow?
Because he believed in himself, gosh
Well,
darn it.
there you go.
We believe
There
in
you
you,
go.
Tim.
There you go.
Gosh, you know, we are doing a bad job of keeping up with this cutting.
Yes.
But trust me, Tim's guacamole is world famous. It's something that everyone loves around here. I haven't had it in quite a while, so it's going to be quite a treat.
See, I normally do this in the kitchen by myself so I can eat all of it I want.
And lastly, Tim, you've got to tell us, if you were not a meteorologist, what would you be doing for a living?
So you're talking about after I retired, or
No,
as
not
a
after
22-year-old?
retirement, as a youngin'.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story. So who knows if it'll actually happen?
Okay.
But when I first heard that the National Weather Service was going to put a freeze on, I had told my friends anybody in television was a clown. So I wasn't going to try to get it. I wasn't.
Tim!
Sorry. Anybody and so. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do because that's what I'd been wanting to do since I was 6.
Putting this in here?
And so, I actually started applying for the Peace Corps.
Oh.
I have no idea what I would have done. I'm not sure if I would have added peace or made things worse, but that's actually what I was applying for.
Okay.
Until TV came along. So,
All right.
so TV basically saved the Peace Corps.
Save the Peace Corps, okay.
Yeah, from me.
Oh my gosh, that is so good. Tim, you know what, a big part of Game Changers, you are making a difference, not just in front of the camera, but behind the scenes as well.
Oh, I
So
hope.
I do want to talk to this, your community service, and that ties into another story. Tim has so many stories.
Sorry.
But you did not bring them. We do have a photo of them, though, your famous suspenders. Take us back to how you received those suspenders.
Okay, so and I still have them, for anybody who cares, I've worn them like every Wednesday for I don't know how long. 1989.
Jeez.
This is before Wolfson's officially.
Tim, you got to cook and talk. Come on.
I just don't know how to do all this. This is, I don't.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Wilson.
So Wolfson, the way I would frame it in vocabulary is they did not actually have a hospice place yet.
Okay.
Okay. And so it was a floor on Baptist Hospital for kids. For kids, okay?
Yeah.
I was told that I was coming there to talk to kids about the weather.
Yep.
As it turns out, they had painted for me suspenders. And they have, which will show, they have weather symbols and smiley faces. But think about this. I don't know for a fact, but if there were 20 children there, probably 18 of them passed in a year or 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I still have these suspenders.
You hold on to them.
So in many ways, they're like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and it kind of symbolizes, you know, I have, people fortunately have invited me to speak many times about the weather, but easily have spoken to thousands of 4th and 5th graders.
Yeah.
And there's just, I can't imagine even trying to list the things I've learned from talking to 4th and 5th graders.
They're curious. They have great questions.
Well, they are. What I love about that grade is they're just old enough to where they get it. So instead of telling you stories, which is fine, they ask you questions. Like you say, they're curious.
Yeah.
But they're not so cool like maybe once you get to 8th grade or 9th grade.
Yeah, where they know everything.
Right. So no one raises their hand, right?
Yeah.
4th and 5th graders, man, they are all out there. And in fact, I kind of use them as an example of that's what I want to be like. You know?
Even in retirement, right? Still curious,
Even
still
more
asking
so.
questions. Yeah.
No time limits, no.
Tell us about your method using this, because I was just like, let's use a bowl. You said, no, I'm using my
I learned
mug.
a while ago that you just can't really turn it into one good dip. I mean, for me, a good guacamole dip Yeah, you want to have a little texture to it, but you want it to be kind of creamy too.
Tim, you are the messiest.
This is, yeah, sorry. I'm definitely used to doing this in my own kitchen where I basically come out with a hose afterwards and clean up. So sorry.
All right, Tim, we're going to try to wrap this up. Let's see.
Okay, this is much chunkier than I like to serve, but you know, maybe we've come up with another better way to do it. Yeah.
Oh, seasoning. Hello, what are we putting?
Oh,
what is
salt.
This? Okay, just
Oh,
salt.
I should have
Okay.
done that earlier.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we're out of.
And I normally taste that before I put in the jalapeno.
Okay. Oh no. Okay, here we got a spoon right here.
Okay, this is how much salt we put in.
That's a lot of salt, Tim. I thought you were Mr. Healthy. What is this?
That's why I run.
Oh my gosh.
This is supposed to be a party.
So you eat what you want and then run and work it out afterwards.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh gosh.
And just, I've learned you can overdo it with this.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. Tim Deegan, words of wisdom before you depart, before you leave us. May 30th, folks, he is leaving First Coast News. Not quite, you'll still be back, I'm sure, every once in a while. You can't really shake us all the way off.
I will probably after a while, or the dog will probably at home will probably get tired of hearing me talk about the weather. So I might have to come in just so you all act like.
You can always come in, Tim.
Yeah.
You know that. We'll always miss you.
Love you.
Famous guac. I'm going to put this out in the newsroom. I'm sure it'll be gone in like 2 seconds. Folks, we are going to go ahead and try this.
It's a little chunky.
I knew. It'll be great. It's Tim. He made it. Tim, we appreciate you. We're going to miss you.
I will miss you too, but let's both stay curious together, and who knows what the future holds.
Deal.
Okay.